Everything you own, your phone, your car, the grid that keeps your lights on, runs on one quiet assumption: batteries will keep getting a little better every year. A few more miles of range, a few minutes off the charge time, incremental progress. But what if that assumption just short-circuited? Because right now, in research labs and startup factories from Seoul to Massachusetts, battery chemistry is breaking its own rules. We are watching the end of the lithium-ion era and the birth of something much larger, a revolution in how civilization stores sunlight itself. Imagine a battery that never catches fire, one that breathes oxygen from the air to power entire cities for days, one made not from rare cobalt or nickel, but from the same iron that built our bridges. Solid-state, sodium-ion, and iron-air technologies aren't whiteboard fantasies. They're rolling off pilot line production today. The question quietly shaking boardrooms and governments is no longer, does it work? It's, can it scale fast enough to change everything before the climate clock runs out? If they succeed, fossil fuel peaker plants vanish. Electric aircraft take flight. Energy independence becomes as common as Wi-Fi. And if they fail, the clean energy transition stalls on the same chemistry that powered your 2001 laptop. Some revolutions don't start with noise, they start with voltage. So tonight, let's pierce the sealed casing of the next global transformation and see what's really happening inside the battery. Every revolution begins with a problem too big to ignore. In the case of energy, it's this: the planet is switching to renewables faster than it can store them. Solar peaks when homes use the least power. Wind gusts hardest when cities sleep. By dinner time, exactly when demand surges, the breeze settles and sunlight vanishes. For a century, fossil fuels fill that gap using gas-fired peaker plants, belching carbon for just a few profitable hours each evening. The fix seems obvious: batteries. But the world's workhorse, lithium-ion, has quietly reached its ceiling. The chemistry that put the smartphone in your pocket is now propping up the global grid, and it's groaning under the weight. Energy density has plateaued. Materials like cobalt and nickel climb in price with every new electric vehicle rollout. And those glossy battery packs? They're flammable. One short circuit can trigger thermal runaway, a chain reaction hot enough to melt aluminum. Engineers have squeezed every possible watt-hour out of this design. To go further, we must break the chemistry itself. Yet that leap comes with terrifying unknowns. Can solid materials conduct ions fast enough? Can rust actually power a city for 4 days straight? Can a sodium battery really survive a Siberian winter? As the world races toward a carbon-neutral grid, the stakes have never been higher. Energy storage isn't a niche upgrade. It's the hinge of the entire clean energy revolution. Solve it, and the renewables era accelerates. Fail, and we remain chained to fossil fuels, which means the next chapter in human progress might depend on a single, deceptively simple question: what's hiding inside the next battery? Here's where the story flips, from limits to liberation, because engineers around the world aren't just tweaking lithium-ion anymore, they're rewriting chemistry itself. First, solid-state batteries. Instead of flammable liquid electrolytes, they use solid ceramic or polymer materials that let lithium ions flow smoothly while blocking the dendrites that cause fires. The result? Twice the energy in the same space. Picture an electric car driving 800 kilometers on a single charge, then refilling in 15 minutes. No explosion risk, no coolant maze, no drama. Toyota and Samsung both plan mass production before 2030, and the prototypes already shattered today's limits. Next, sodium-ion power. Swap rare, expensive lithium for common salt. The energy density is a bit lower, but sodium batteries keep working at minus 40 degrees Celsius and cost roughly half as much to make. They're ideal for massive solar farms where affordability and stability matter more than range. CATL sodium-ion cells are already rolling off Chinese production lines destined for cars and grid storage alike. And then comes the wild card: iron-air technology. It breathes, literally. These batteries rust to store energy and reverse the process to release it. Made from iron, water, and air, materials cheaper than bottled water. They can discharge for 100 hours straight. One stack could back up renewable power for an entire weekend storm. Each of these chemistries attacks lithium ion's weak points from a different angle: density, cost, duration, safety. But none alone defines the future. Together, they signal a complete rewiring of how civilization thinks about storage itself. The breakthroughs are real. The lab results are stunning. Yet, one giant question remains. How will these technologies collide with the machinery of the modern world? This is the moment the story of electricity itself changes. For 2 centuries, we've built our world around a cruel equation: use power the instant you make it, or lose it. Everything from gas plants to household pricing exists to obey that rule. But when batteries hold days' worth of renewable energy, the rule dissolves. Iron-air batteries let the grid rest. They store sunshine from Tuesday and deliver it on Saturday. Entire cities can glide through windless nights powered by yesterday's breeze. Solid-state systems make electric aircraft conceivable. Short-haul jets flying from London to Paris on pure electricity. No roaring turbines, no smell of jet fuel within a decade. And sodium-ion packs, built from salt and steel, mean that cheap, safe electricity can reach villages and islands of fossil fuel age left behind. It isn't just cleaner energy. It's a rewiring of the social order. Nations long dependent on coal or oil exports face reinvention. Regions once too remote for stable grids gain sovereignty powered by sunlight and salt water. Energy independence stops being geopolitical fantasy and becomes engineering reality. And this time, the revolution won't be staged in high towers or oil fields. It will unfold quietly in warehouses, factory lines, and rooftops as new batteries replace old assumptions. Yet every innovation carries a shadow. Manufacturing scale, cost curves, recycling, and policy all decide whether these miracles remain prototypes or become civilization's foundation. We built machines that can finally store the sun. The only question left is, will we build the systems brave enough to trust them? Every century has its measuring stick for progress. The 1900s had horsepower. The 2000s had gigabytes. The century ahead will measure human potential in kilowatt hours. Because when we can store energy as easily as we store data, everything changes: transport, healthcare, cities, even the pace of innovation itself. The battery is emerging now. The solid-state cells, the sodium-ion stations, the rust-powered iron-air giants aren't gadgets. They're the nervous system of a new civilization. The transformation won't be neat or instant. Factories will struggle. Regulations will lag, and capital will chase the wrong horse more than once. But technology's momentum points one way, toward abundance. Abundance of clean power. Abundance of opportunity. And, if we're smart, abundance of time, the most precious energy form of all. For the first time, we can bottle sunlight and uncouple prosperity from pollution. That's not utopia. That's thermodynamics finally working in our favor. And when the next blackout hits or the next record wind farm comes online, remember, you're watching the growing pains of a planet learning to run on its own stored light. So, when someone says, it's just a battery, smile. Because history's most powerful revolutions often arrive disguised as ordinary boxes of metal and wire. This is Energy Horizon, exploring the moment humanity rewires the rules of energy storage. And next time, we'll explore what happens after we master the battery, how smart grids, AI forecasting, and fusion power could turn that stored energy into a self-balancing global network. Progress has always been electric. Now, it's finally rechargeable.